Welcome back. So in this video, we're going to look at how to use DaVinci Resolve to edit the videos that we have made in OBS Studio. So OBS Studio is your recording platform. Resolve is your editing program. So yes, OBS doesn't have that built-in editing function that Camtasia does. Camtasia obviously costs money. Likewise, Panopto also has its own drawbacks. I prefer using the two. I think it has a better effect. It's also more like Premiere Pro. You can add more effects, you can add text, you can add overlays. I just think it's a better program overall, really. So this is why I'm going to show you how to do it on Resolve. We open up Resolve. And if you remember, in OBS, you can set it to look at screen 1 or screen 2. So at the moment, we're looking at the camera plus screen 2. If I want to look at the other screen, my OBS screen, then we can swap it over here. And remember that while you're talking, it's going yellow into the yellow. I don't want it to go that high. So we just bring that down a little bit and make sure that we're halfway through the yellow, which is perfect. Okay, my mic's clear. And we're going to do recording. Right, so we're going to open up Resolve. It can take a little time to load. So I'll just pause while it's loading. Okay, it's opened. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new project. New project is editing to, I'm not worried enough to change it. So here you have your Resolve screen. So in the screen you've got your media pool. This is where you load all your content. So if you've got videos, if you've forgotten something in the PowerPoint, such as graphics, or if you when you're recording, you go, oh, do you know what? I would have loved for something else to have been in there. This is where you put it. So in your media pool, you open up your document tray, you put in your video that you want to edit. Okay, if it comes up with the error, it's fine. It doesn't seem to make a big difference. Now, I know that I want to put some pictures in there. So I've got a Padlet that I use for my students. So I want to remind them about the Padlet and a booklet, say, that I want them to read. Right. So I've got my content there. This here is your screen that you're going to be editing on. Now, I don't need the media pool to be that big. You can adjust it. But again, this is your own preferences. You can do what you like. So you right click on your video, create a new timeline using selected tips. Okay, so my main timeline is going to be, I always label it. It's a hangover from Adobe. What I do is I name and label all the layers. So one audio track, one video track, based on selected media. Perfect. Create. So there it is in the screen. We now, yep, there you go, it's loaded. Let's go to edit. And they're both at the same place. So you can adjust the size of your screens. I don't need it to be that big. I tend to use it about there. Look at this track. You press play here. So we're happy with that video. And you can press play. Now you can see by this waveform. Now, if you go to here, you can zoom in on the waveforms. And you can see when you started talking. So if you scroll this across, you can see it jumps through the screen. So there's a strange sound there. Do I start talking there or there? So let's have a look. Right, so welcome back. Pause it for a moment. All right, so I started talking there. So I get my razor out. So we use the razor tool. Clip. So if you remember back to the old days of celluloid, you're literally cutting the frames. All right, so you're using a razor to cut it just as we did when you're shooting with film, 35mm film. Take your mouse pointer there and delete it out. Right, so we've started the video. Now I'm going to show you how to add text, add images, okay, and then I'm also going to show you how to use the subtitle track. So remember at the beginning when I said about PowerPoint, when you're using PowerPoint, by pre-recording your lecture, by talking into the notes section, you've now got everything written down, which A, will help you to read more clearly, when you're doing presenting, you're more likely to get things in one take when you know what you're going to say. You try to avoid the ums and ahs. It also helps you to look actually at the camera, which can be tough when you're recording online. I've got a couple post-its that says look here. Okay, so anyway, but you can then copy and paste that text into your subtitle track. All right, so then you're sticking with the accessibility requirements. So first off, let's add some text. So we go to Toolbox over here, Titles, Text. There we go. So if you drag it over and do it above, because I want it to be as a clip, so I want it to create its own track. So you drag it into the track. I don't like clipping it into the actual stream. I know it makes it, but the reason why I'm making a new track is because I want to superimpose it over the top. So you'll still see what's being written underneath when you write. So to edit it, you double click, opens up the text, and here you want to say my phone numbers to students, my whatever information I want to convey. Okay, you can change the font, hundreds of fonts. You know, we all love Comic Sans. Joking, no one loves Comic Sans. Don't go hating me in the comments about Comic Sans. I'm fully aware. So let's change it to whatever color you want. Okay, that's really bad to see, especially if you're colorblind. So do think about things like accessibility. I'm just going to go with straight white for the moment. Nice and clear, bold, high res. You can change the view of it. So where do you want it to be justified? I'm fine where it is. Position, remember this is your position on your screen. So these are the pixels. So y-axis is up and down. Sorry if I'm teaching you how to suck eggs, but yeah, I didn't want to assume. So let's say I want it down the bottom, it's 200. Let's say I want it at the top, 800 pixels from the bottom. You don't have to be exact. You can just play around with it until you find a place for you to work. Okay, again, this does it left and right. Let's say I want it 500. Over it goes. I don't want it 500. I'm actually quite happy with it there, or 950, which centralizes it. Anyway, you can add drop shadows. If you want, the shadows can be any color as well. Let's say you want it 50 by 50. Remember, this is in pixels as well. There we go. Ooh, look at that drop shadow. Anyway, right. So you then decide how long you want it to be on the screen for. Okay. So we're back. Double click on your main tabs. Press your play button. And let's see what's going on. So double click on your main tab, track. And it's gone and opened DaVinci Resolve 16. There's that. So this is now your video editor. Okay. Now you don't want it, let's say you don't want it up for that long. Get to the end, roll it back, and see how now it's only up for a small period of time. You can do the same for making it longer. Now I'm going to show you how to put in that image. So if you remember how we put it in originally, so it's opening up your folder, click and drag it in. You can have as much or as little as you like. You then use the same concept. So on that track there, now this track I use as my clip track. Let's add in Ferrari there. Talk about that. Again, you can edit it. Move on our timeline. You can make it longer and shorter. And the same for that. Okay, easy peasy. You get as much or as little as you like. If you wanted to see the image behind, what you do is you use a PNG with a transparent side, with transparency, and then you can change it. Okay, and then you'll be able to see the slide behind it. I quite like them focusing on the images, but it all comes down to personal preference. Right, so now this is finished. We're happy with it. We've edited it to our heart's content. We now go down to here. And that's the deliver button. And in the deliver, final editing. I hit browse. I want it to go into let's make a new folder. Final publishing. So you created a new folder. Select your folder. Hit save. Now you'll notice it was an MXF. So this is where you drop it down into an MP4. Okay, so it needs to be an MP4. Students tend to watch on smaller screens. It's useful for making smaller sizes. I mean, it's not as high res as something on YouTube or Vimeo, but it's decent. Then you add it to the render queue. Now, once you've added it to the render queue, you hear job 1. You remember to save what you're doing. Give it a second. Start your renderer. And once you see it going here, you know that it's absolutely fine. It should render okay. So once you're there, go make a cup of tea. It says it's 5 minutes and 8 minutes, 5 minutes and 8 seconds remaining. It's generally really good, but you never know. So thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm hoping to do some more. So if you have any ideas that you'd like, or if you've got any questions, like I said, I am new to this, so I'm learning as I'm going and sharing as I learn. But likewise, please let me know and I will do my best to find the answer. So thank you so much. Please remember to like, feel free to share, and follow me on LinkedIn and on Twitter. Thank you very much.